Imagine this, a single government action so sweeping that a top labor historian actually called it by far the largest single action of union busting in American history.
Yeah.
We're talking about something that really changed the game for, well, over 1 million federal employees. Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're getting into that recent executive order, the one that's had such a huge impact on federal employees' union rights. Our goal here, our mission for this deep dive, is to really clarify what these changes mean for you, especially when it comes to rights and benefits that are still fully in place, like federal workers' comp, OWCP. We've looked at a whole set of sources covering, current AFGE actions supporting federal employees' rights and benefits, just to give you the core insights. Okay, so let's unpack this. President Trump signed this executive order back in March 2025. It was, well, a really big deal for federal workers right away. What exactly did this order aim to do?
Well, the legal side of it is pretty interesting. It used part of the 1978 Civil Service Reform Act that's hardly ever touched. Basically, this provision lets the president bypass collective bargaining for national security reasons.
National security, okay.
Right. That was the administration's stated reason that union negotiations were somehow a security risk. But the unions, AFGE included, they pushed back hard. They said it was just, a pretext, basically retaliation against labor groups that had been critical.
A pretext. Wow. And the scale you mentioned.
Oh, the scale is just massive. It essentially wiped out the union's ability to negotiate for over 1 million federal employees.
1 million.
Yeah, think about it. That's something like 4 out of every 5 unionized federal workers.
That explains the largest single action quote.
Exactly. That historian wasn't exaggerating. It dissolved or invalidated union contracts across dozens of agencies. A huge chunk of the federal workforce was affected. The main takeaway is it was a major shift of power away from the unions, affecting day-to-day work life for so many people.
That quote really does hit home. It's fascinating how broadly national security was interpreted here, right? It wasn't just the obvious agencies. So can you break that down? Which agencies really felt the heat first, and, what did it actually look like for them?
Absolutely. The effects spread out pretty widely. The Department of Veterans Affairs, VA, they were actually first up. They implemented the order on August 6th, 2025.
August 6th, okay.
And that meant terminating the collective bargaining agreements for, well, the vast majority of their people. We're talking 377,000 employees.
3/4 of their workforce.
Over 3/4, yeah.
Yeah.
And it hit 5 different unions there. AFGE, NAGE, NFFE, National Nurses United, and SEIU. Their contracts, gone.
And the VA's reasoning?
Well, the VA leadership said it was about refocusing staff on veterans.
Yeah.
But AFGE immediately called it clear retaliation for, the union setting up for VA workers.
Okay, so that's the VA. What about the TSA? I heard something different happened there.
Right, the TSA situation was a bit unique. DHA Secretary Kristi Noem tried to dissolve their contracts separately earlier in 2025. She claimed the existing AFGE TSA agreement from 2024 impeded security and rewarded poor performers. That was her justification.
Okay.
And this is a big deal. A federal judge actually blocked DHS from canceling that contract back in June 2025.
Really? On what grounds?
The judge said the action likely broke the law and, importantly, seemed intended to punish AFGE and its members.
Wow.
Yeah, it was seen as a rare bright spot, even if temporary. It kept collective bargaining alive for about 47,000 TSA officers and put their agreement back in place for the time being.
Okay, so VA hit hard. TSA gets a temporary reprieve. What about the Department of Labor? They seem like an obvious target if you're going after worker protections.
Exactly. The DOL faced significant disruption. The administration seemed focused on scaling back its functions, seeing things like worker protection as, well, roadblocks.
So what happened there? Layoffs?
Not exactly layoffs, but reports showed over 2,700 DOL employees felt pressured, enough to resign or retire early in spring 2025. That's out of about 14,500 total staff.
And that affects agencies within DOL too, right? Like OWCP?
Precisely. Critical parts like the Office of Workers' Compensation Programs, OWCP, they felt the impact of those staffing cuts. And you hit on the key point. Weakening DOL isn't just about federal unions. It ripples out. It undermines how wage laws, safety rules, other labor laws are enforced for all workers.
That makes sense. Were there other major agencies caught up in this?
Oh, yeah. More than 30 agencies were targeted for exclusion overall.
30? Like who?
Well, the Environmental Protection Agency,
Yeah.
EPA, for one. They canceled their union contracts on August 8th, 2025. And their reason? Also preventing irreparable harm to national security, which, for the EPA, raised a lot of eyebrows about how that term was being used.
I can imagine. Anyone else?
Yeah, soon after, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, USCIS, FEMA, they also invalidated their AFGE contracts, and even the Food Safety and Inspection Service, FSIS, at the USDA. That one caused particular concern.
Why specifically FSIS?
Well, the fear was that without union backing, inspectors might feel less empowered to, say, halt production lines if they see a safety issue, fear of reprisal.
Right, that makes sense. So by August 2025, what was the total picture?
By August, the estimates were that roughly 2/3 of the entire unionized federal workforce had lost their collective bargaining rights.
2/3. That's staggering. So, okay, we see the impact across agencies. For the employees listening, seeing this happen must have been deeply unsettling. The big question then becomes, what about the unions themselves? Did they just fold?
Yep.
Or are they fighting back?
Oh, they were absolutely fighting back. AFGE, the American Federation of Government Employees, didn't just vanish. Not at all.
Yeah.
They're pushing back hard on several fronts.
Okay, like what?
Legally. Definitely legally. AFGE and other unions sued immediately to try and overturn the order. But it's been a bit of a legal roller coaster. They got some initial injunctions, temporary blocks, in April and June 2025.
That sounds promising.
It was, but they were short-lived. A federal appeals court lifted those injunctions in late July, and that basically gave agencies the green light to proceed.
And they did.
They did. Agencies like the VA and EPA, they moved fast to tear up those contracts, even though the administration had apparently told the court they'd wait.
So the legal fight continues.
Yes. AFGE is still pursuing the case, arguing the whole executive order is unlawful. They're using every legal tool they have.
What about the union leadership? What are they saying?
They've been very vocal. AFGE's national president, Everett Kelly, called the terminations retaliation against AFGE members, flat out. And he's vowed the union will not back down.
Strong words.
Yeah, and other AFGE leaders, like heads of specific agency councils, they're pointing out the practical damage this does. Weakening environmental rules at EPA or food safety at FSIS, because worker voices are being silenced.
So, legally fighting, speaking out. How are they actually operating now if they've been kicked out of agency offices?
That's the really critical part they're adapting. Even though they've lost official recognition in many places, and their office space, AFGE itself still exists. It's an independent organization.
So how do they connect with members?
They've shifted to what they're calling virtual offices. Since reps got evicted from government buildings, they're advising members remotely. Now, they can't use government time or equipment for union work anymore, but reps are using personal email, personal phones, meeting off-site.
So AFGE is still there, just operating differently.
Exactly. They're still there for employees. And they're really pushing members to stay engaged and speak up. They even launched a national day of action, and they're asking federal employees like you to call your representatives in Congress.
About what specifically?
To support something called the Protect America's Workforce Act. It's a bill designed to reverse the executive order and bring back collective bargaining rights for everyone.
Interesting. So it shows how unions have to evolve, right? It's not just about having an office down the hall anymore.
Precisely. The fight for rights continues, just maybe in different forms now. Engagement, solidarity, those things don't need a physical office.
Okay, this leads to probably the most pressing question for many people listening right now. With all these changes, unions under attack.
Mm-hmm.
What about my benefits, my health insurance, my retirement? Are those gone too?
That is the crucial question, and let me be absolutely clear on this. Even if your union's bargaining rights are sidelined right now, you still have all your earned government benefits and workplace rights. Let me repeat that. Losing the union contract does not mean losing your benefits.
Okay, that's huge. So things like health insurance, retirement.
Still there. Health insurance, your retirement annuity, paid leave, all those core benefits are provided by law. They're statutory entitlements. They don't come from the union contract. They come from federal law itself.
And what about workers' comp? OWCP. If I get hurt on the job now?
Absolutely included. Workers' compensation. OWCP benefits are fully intact.
Yeah.
Federal law, specifically the Federal Employees Compensation Act, FECA, guarantees that you are entitled to workers' compensation benefits if they're hurt or become ill due to their work.
So medical care, wage replacement?
All of it. Medical care, wage loss replacement, even vocational rehab if needed. This comes from FECA, managed by the Department of Labor's OWCP. It has nothing to do with union representation or bargaining. So, bottom line, if you're a federal employee and you suffer a work-related injury or illness, yes, you can still file an OWCP claim. You can still get treatment and compensation, just like before.
That is a massive relief to hear, I'm sure. But okay, realistically, Without a union steward maybe helping out navigating that OWCP system, it can be tough, right? It's known for being complicated.
You're absolutely right. It can feel daunting. OWCP claims involve a lot of paperwork, forms like the CA1 for an injury, CA2 for an illness, the CA7 for wage loss. It's complex.
And people used to rely on their stewards for that.
Many did. But the good news is specialized help is still out there. For instance, there are clinics like Restore Muscle and Joint. They have locations in Kansas City and St. Louis. They actually have dedicated OWCP case managers.
Case managers specifically for federal workers' comp?
Exactly. Their whole job is to guide federal employees through that entire claims process, step by step. These specialists, they have advanced training in all the federal workers' comp rules and procedures. They basically know the OWCP system inside and out, so you don't have to figure it out alone while you're injured.
Who do they typically help?
Restore Muscle and Joint, for example, has a strong track record helping injured feds from places like the Postal Service, USPS, the VA, TSA, even the Department of Defense, getting claims approved, getting the right treatment.
So they help with the forms, the deadlines?
Everything. Filling out the forms correctly, hitting the deadlines, making sure you have the right medical evidence, helping you keep your income flowing while you recover. And remember, under OWCP, you have the right to choose your own treating physician. Clinics like these can provide the medical treatment and handle the administrative headaches. It ensures you get the benefits you're legally entitled to.
That is incredibly valuable information. So pulling back to the bigger picture then, what's the overall outlook here? Is there a message of maybe hope or reassurance for federal employees listening?
I think the core message, connecting back to everything we've discussed, is this. Your union might be facing serious challenges right now, yes. But you are absolutely not alone, and you're not unprotected. AFGE, other unions, they're still fighting this in the courts, pushing Congress, organizing members. This current situation, this attack on bargaining rights, it's very likely temporary when you look at the long history of federal labor relations.
And the existing protections remain.
Crucially, yes. Remember, the laws and benefits established for federal workers are still in effect, even without that union contract. You still have appeal rights to the Merit Systems Protection Board, the MSPB. You still have whistleblower protections. And as we emphasized, you still have the full range of federal benefits you've earned.
Especially OWCP.
Especially OWCP if you get hurt on the job.
Mm-hmm.
That system is still there. And importantly, there are knowledgeable professionals, like those case managers we mentioned, who can help you navigate it successfully.
So stay informed, stay engaged.
Definitely. Stay informed, get involved if you can, maybe support efforts like the Protect America's Workforce Act. Think of it this way. The union structure might be curtailed right now, but the spirit of the union, solidarity, supporting each other, standing up for your rights, that's still very much alive. That's what empowers federal employees.
So wrapping up this deep dive, it seems clear that while federal unions are definitely navigating some rough waters, federal employees themselves still hold on to really vital protections, those hard-earned benefits, and, importantly, ways to get support.
Exactly. And maybe the final thought for you to consider is this. This whole situation really underscores something important. Structures, like union contracts, can change, sometimes rapidly. But the legal bedrock of your rights, the value of people supporting each other, those things endure. It really highlights how crucial it is for every individual to understand what you're entitled to, what resources are available, especially when those familiar structures get disrupted. Knowing your rights and knowing where to turn for help, that's real empowerment, isn't it?
A powerful reminder indeed. We absolutely encourage you to understand your rights, look into resources like the ones we've talked about if you need them, and just stay plugged into the ongoing conversations about protecting federal employees.